Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. We have an exciting show. I don't really have to do much of an introduction because I think many people that watch this show probably know who this gentleman is. I went to one of his events a couple years back in California. It was an awesome event. I loved it. I love the fact that you wear flip-flops because I wear flip-flops every day too. So we have a lot of similarities. Telling your story about 2008 crash. I was around because I was in the mortgage business, a little bit younger than you, but it was terrible. And I love your story. So I want you to kind of introduce yourself because I know 90% of the people probably know who you are, but I think there's going to be somebody that just needs to know a little bit more about who you are. Then we're going to dive into a lot of good stuff about what we think is going to come with the upcoming midterms and the economy and what's going on. And I think Rod's a really good person to listen to because he's been through a lot. He's gotten humbled. In 2008, it sounded like it must have been just like I couldn't imagine it because I went through some major shit in 2008, but not nearly that much of pain. And for you to come back and be such a positive impact on people today, and I have to say that you were one of the first real estate investing podcasts that I really kind of tuned into and resonated with. So please welcome Rod Khleif to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Beau. My podcast just broke 14 million downloads, which I'm super proud of. I never planned to enjoy podcasting. In fact, I didn't think I'd like it when I first started because they didn't have video. It was just audio, and I'm not an auditory person. I'm a visual person. And, and I used to tell people when it first started, I'll never sell you anything because I never intended to. It's just like, hey, I just want to add some value. I want to explain what happened to me and so that you don't make the same mistakes. And then, we hit 1 million downloads. I'm like, okay, I probably ought to do something with this. And then I wrote a book and gave it away for free, gave away 20,000 copies for free. I still give it away for free. You pay the shipping, you can have it for like $6, but you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans, right? But I freaking I love it now. I meet incredible people like you. I get interviewed a lot. And of course I do, I've interviewed some of the best operators in the world from a multifamily standpoint. So it's, now I've got students all over the country, and something I'm super proud of is my students own somewhere between 75 to 90,000 units now. And I've only been teaching a little under 5 years. So really proud of that. But anyway, so let me tell a real quick background. If you don't know who I am, if you do, I'll be quick. I immigrated to this country when I was 6 years old. I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills, and immigrated with my brother Albert, my mother's Vancia, ended up in Denver, Colorado. Really struggled initially. I remember eating expired food. We shopped at an expired food store, which, believe it or not, they had back then. We drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And trust me, it sounds better than it is. Wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I finally got disgusted when I was 14 and lied about my age at Burger King because I was tall so I could flip burgers and buy my own clothes and then buy a car when I turned 15. And I'm sure you've got listeners that had it harder than I did or have it harder now even. Like I said, I think some serious pain's coming for this country. We'll talk about that later. I knew I wanted more back then. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. We always had a house full of kids. And she was an entrepreneur with her babysitting money. She invested in the stock market and IPOs and made money. But she also invested in real estate. And her first real estate acquisition was the house right across the street from us when I was about 14. She paid about 30 grand. When I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep. And I'm like, what? You made 20,000? You didn't do anything except buy the house? I'm getting into real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18, which you could do back then with education. I could actually have my own office, and they got smart. Now you need some experience to be a broker, but I was a broker. My first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which back in 1980 was pretty decent money. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy. I was smart enough to go work for another broker. He was a broker, and I was dating his daughter. And he taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology and how really that's 80 to 90% of your success in anything. And so fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses I've rented long-term. I own thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might say, wow, because I said, wow. And, I got a head so big, I could barely fit it through a freaking door. I thought I was a real estate god. And you know, when that happens, God of the universe will give you a nice little smack. Like you got the smack you got, Beau. Well, that was 2008 and 9. I lost $50 million conservatively in 2008 and 9. And so, you know, what I'm known for talking about a lot on my podcast and when I get interviewed is really the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place, but then probably as importantly or more importantly, the mindset it took to get back to the success that I have today. And I'm going to tell you, I think we're headed for some pain in this country. And I think with that said, mindset is going to be super important. You know, if you're listening or watching Beau here, you're a leader. And in what's coming, the world is really, even right now, the world needs leaders. Don't get me started on all the crap they put out there on the news. And so it's really important for you to kind of stand guard at the door to your mind, you know, pay attention to what you allow in, you know, because focus is super critical as a leader. And if you're, whatever you focus on is going to get bigger, positive or negative. So it's really important you bring in the good stuff. I do these clips every week on my podcast called Own Your Power about these different strategies for owning your power. They're 5-minute clips with music. You give me 5 minutes a week, I will juice you. Okay. There's hundreds of them there. But even if it's not me, go to YouTube. I cry like a little girl when I watch soldiers reconnecting with their families, or, you know, motivational clips, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff you want to bring in. Like I said, the news isn't there to inform us. It's mostly BS at this point. You don't even know what to believe, but it's just crap. It's there to startle us and scare us. So really pay attention to that. You know, focus is so important. They asked Mother Teresa when she was alive if she was anti-war, and she said, no, I'm pro-peace. It's just a play, really. I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. But another example, which is painful for me to bring up. I use this example, but today it's painful. You'll know why when I say what it is. I get people that say, I'm trying to get out of student loan debt. And I'm like, wrong freaking statement. Focus on making so much money that the debt's irrelevant. Now, we won't talk about the idiotic move of paying off student loan debt that just literally hit the news yesterday. They say it's going to cost $1 trillion. And it's so frustrating for, you know, people like my daughter who worked her ass off so she didn't have any student loan debt, you know. And I just saw another little clip that the people that are going to pay for that debt, it's like a plumber paying for a doctor's debt is what it equates to. It's just ludicrous. But anyway, that stupidity is what caused the inflation to begin with, all that spending. And I even heard that they had to print more money this month just to pay the debt on the international loans that we owe, 30 trillion and that we know of in debt. So again, Trump was quoted recently as saying, love him or hate him, I don't care if you hate him, that's fine. But he was quoted as saying that we're going to have a depression, not a recession. And, you know, you may hate him, but he's pretty smart economically. And, you know, even Elon Musk has said it's going to be ugly. Warren Buffett says it's going to be ugly. Of course, Kiyosaki's been saying for years it's going to be ugly. So, you know, and that's his shtick. But I really believe it is. And you know, even if it's just a recession, I think there's going to be incredible opportunity in the multifamily space. And we can talk about that if you want, Beau. I'll stop rambling here, but
yeah, no, that was great feedback. Yeah, I'm curious. Let's kind of dive in with where you think the errors have occurred with some of these younger syndicators and multifamily investors, and
even the older ones. And here's the thing. You know, I'll remind you all of Warren Buffett's famous quote, you know, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. There's been incredible greed the last couple of years. And so, you know, we've been in best and final. If you don't know what that means, you know, they pick the top 5 offers and they say, give us your best offer. And that's called best and final with a broker. And we've like really sharpened our pencils, and then we're like, it sold for what? And, you know, traded for is the terminology. It traded for what? And just scratching our head. And so there've been extremely skinny deals done the last few years. So that's number one. Number two is bridge debt. Over the last year, that's been the primary vehicle for financing for deals. But here's the thing, bridge debt is very onerous debt. Number one, it's adjustable rate. Okay. And you know, very often they'll make you pay for a rate cap, typically 2%. But first of all, 2%. So the rates have already gone up 2%. In the commercial real estate space, or just under 2%. That is a huge increase or a huge impact on your bottom line, if you've got a multi-million-dollar asset, that 2% it can be the difference between, success and failure. And so there's that. And then some of them didn't even have rate caps. The other thing is they're short-term debt. So they're typically 3 years. Sometimes they'll go 3-1-1 where it's a 5-year debt, but still very short-term. And you want to know the definition of a bad day. Well, let me back up before I say that. So if you look at a graph of what happened to cap rates in 2009, 8, 9, and 10, it almost mirrored interest rate increases. Okay. And so, here's the definition of a bad day. You've got an asset that's cash flowing, might be a nice asset, and you need to refinance because your debt came due, or you need to sell, and the cap rates have gone up and the value's not there. That's a bad day. Okay. And so, there's that. There's a lot of operators that didn't put aside operating reserves. We do that every time. So at least 6 months of expenses. And so, there's undercapitalization, and again, and there are operators that are banking on these rents to continue to go up. But I've seen offering memorandums from operators that show a 10% increase for the next 5 years in their rents. I'm like, are you seriously? Even big operators, I'm not going to name names, but the name of one of them that does that. And there's just no freaking way. And so, I think there's going to be a real reckoning. And I think for sure investors aren't going to get their returns on a lot of those deals. And the worst case, they could very well lose capital. So, but what does that mean for us? That means opportunity, and there will be deals. And, it's going to be mixed in with pain. I get that. But, in 2008 and 9, I was hiding under a rock because I'd had my ass handed to me. And this time I'm ready. I'm in a lot of cash because cash is king when this happens. But let me say this as well. Not just your own cash, access to cash. Like I just had 850 people at my bootcamp in Denver a few weeks ago. And we spent a lot of time talking about this, pre-framing your investors, getting them ready so they're not fearful when it happens, because there's going to be incredible opportunity. I will tell you, it's already opened up for us. We've bought one asset in the last year, 296 units in San Antonio, screaming deal. Broke even day one, economically occupied at 59%. And of course, it's a lot better than that now. But we just got another deal under contract, a few weeks ago in Nashville. Beautiful 145 door asset. We're putting 60% loan to value, long-term fixed rate debt on it. And we're still projecting, and we're conservatively projecting. I under promise and over deliver. Conservatively projecting 8 to 10%. Cash on cash, 16 to 19% IRR, and 20 to 22% AAR. I mean, just incredible returns for a 60% loan to value deal. I mean, we're raising $18 million for a $33 million deal. So to have those kinds of returns are really extraordinary. And so it's already opening up, I guess is my point. I remember we were almost under contract on a $44 million deal here in Sarasota. And then somebody else took it, and we offered 38, and it went under contract for 44. That was the scenario. And of course, a few weeks later, we got a call. Is that 38 still on the table? Like, no, because the rates went up. So, we're already seeing that impact on the market. In fact, I host a mastermind. It's called the Multifamily Boardroom. I think it's the largest of its type. There's about 16 billion in assets represented by the members. And we met in Houston probably about 5 weeks ago. And at that time, all the operators there that had deals under contract were retrading them, meaning renegotiating them. If you don't know what that means, I know you do, Beau, but your listeners, to 10 to 12% reductions, So,
but we haven't already. You don't think we've even started to see any of the pain, really? This is just
not real. No, not yet.
This is just
now,
a
we'll
little
say
ripple.
This. I'm seeing deals come back on the market that we looked at a year ago. Okay. So there's an operator that knows they're in deep doo-doo trying to unload a deal that they bought a year ago. I'm seeing quite a few of those already. So, it's not public yet though, because again, the news isn't going to post anything about this until after the midterms. They don't want to make the administration look worse than they already make themselves look. So they're not, but after the midterms, I think the perception will be really ugly. I will tell you, Fox had an article literally 3 or 4 days ago that they surveyed a lot of companies, and half of the companies they surveyed said they're doing layoffs in the next 30 to 60 days. Half of them. So, and we've already seen some big layoffs. It's just not making the news. Of course, I don't remember the names of the companies because.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to have a huge transaction slowdown too. And like just
it's already started.
30,
that's
40%.
already started.
There's going to be 40%, probably 30-40% less real estate transactions. Look at the refi bit. There's no refis for mortgage. So that's a trickle down effect because these mortgage brokers, these real estate agents, they're not going to be flying high. A lot of my residential mortgage broker friends, they might be like $150,000 earners normally, and they're making 400, 500 the last couple of years. So it's different, right? And we know
it's all coming to a head, and so you got to get ready for it. But that's why mindset is so freaking important. If you come to my boot camp, as you know, Beau, the first thing we do is goal setting. You've got to know what the hell you want and why you want it. Otherwise, how are you going to get it? And so, we spend a lot of time on that. In fact, if you don't mind me mentioning, I've got a virtual boot camp coming up October 15th and 16th. It's $97. I don't sell anything there at all. So it's 2 days of training for $97, kind of a no-brainer. So if you want to, and here's the thing I want to say to you, opportunity is definitely coming. Everything is going on sale. Okay. So you've got to, if you just doing a 9 to 5 and you haven't picked your side hustle yet, you need to pick it right now. And you need to get up to speed right now. If it's going to be multifamily, for God's sakes, come to my boot camp. But if it's single family, learn single family. If it's buying businesses, learn that. If it's buying depressed stock, learn that. But you need to learn it right now, because once we're in the thick of it, it's going to be too late. Ask me how I know. Okay. This is from experience. So you got to get up to speed. Now, if you want to do my boot camp, text the word ROD to 72345, or you can go to multifamilybootcamp.com. That's ROD to 72345, and it's $97. Now, if you hear this late, I don't know when this will air, but if the price will ultimately go up to around 400. If it's there, you just let me know you heard me on Beau's podcast, and just DM me on any social channel, and I will I'll get you a code to come for the 97. And just so you know, this is not some fluffy. Hang on here. Do I have it here? Yeah, it's not some fluffy boot. Well, you went for the 3-day one. This is the same content. Here's the manual. Okay, I mean, it is full on drinking through a freaking fire hose. I've had thousands of people attend the virtual events, which I had to do when COVID hit, and thousands of people. And I've never had a complaint other than the breaks are too short, because I do 15-minute breaks every couple hours, just because I'm packing so much stuff in. I promise you the breaks are harder on me than they are on you, though. I got to go eat and pee and everything else in 15 minutes. But anyway, so But again, don't wait. Get up to speed right now. You need to build the relationships now. You need to understand how to evaluate deals now, regardless of the asset class. I mean, I know multifamily is the best asset class. I mean, it just is. Here, let me explain why I believe that. When the 2008 and 9 crash hit, with less than 3 years, rents exceeded pre-crash levels. Okay, multifamily rents. That's how fast it bounced back, and that was a big crash. And when COVID hit, for example, retail shopping centers didn't get help, office buildings didn't get help, industrial didn't get help, self-storage didn't get help, but renters got help. We got hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent relief payments from our tenants in our C-class assets. So again, fantastic asset class, incredible hedge against inflation for sure as well. I mean, a lot of cash. It's killing me because the inflation's just literally eating it up. But here's the other thing. I don't think these rate increases are going to stop inflation. That's what's really scary, okay? Because the inflation is there because there's so much freaking money out there, and they keep printing it. It's just insanity. And so, I don't think it's going to stop it. And so I think we're really headed for some pain. And just the important thing to remember is it's not something to fear. It's something to prepare for, get ready for, and capitalize on, because there a lot of people are saying it could be the greatest transfer of wealth in history. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to really get you excited and get you motivated enough to take action right now. And again, I don't care if you learn from me, go learn it for sure. Do you agree with me, Beau? I mean, at least on the learning front? Okay.
I was listening to one of your interviews, and you said, you talked about you didn't go to college, but you had all these, you're a lifetime learner, and so am I. I didn't go to college. I'm a lifetime learner. I've studied more of real estate, cost segregation. That is the name of the game. I my brother makes a crap load of money W-2, and I try to explain to him the benefits of cost segregation, and like, you know, like here's a guy that's making tons of money and just doesn't know these simple techniques that all these real estate professionals are not
Do
paying.
you,
Yeah,
do you
it's just
put these
crazy.
on, you put these on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Do you give me permission to share the screen?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you've disabled it. If you can give me permission, I'll show you the picture you're talking about because I just pulled it up. So I didn't go to college, but there's some of the boot camps and masterminds and webinar. Well, not really, not webinars. They're all live events that I went to. And of course, to be braggadocious, I'm in front of my Bentley and one of my Mercedes. But the point is, learners are earners. Your network is your net worth, especially in the real estate business. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
no, it's so true. All my real estate friends, they come to me because they know if they ask me a question, I can point them in the right direction because I've spent so much darn time learning and learning and learning. You can't, obviously you got to be an implementer too. Rod, what is your day like? I know you follow Tony Robbins, but how do you frame yourself to be like to take control of your day and dominate it?
The number one thing is you've got to you know. Let me give you some strategies, if I may. So the number one thing is you've got to have a burning desire. You know, as you know, if you came to my LA event, everybody that comes to my events gets a copy of Think and Grow Rich because that's a book you should read a couple of times a year. And Napoleon Hill in it talks about a burning desire. You got to want it. That's how you push through fear. That's how you push through limiting beliefs. That's how you get uncomfortable. And we know the comfort zone's a nice warm place. And we also know nothing freaking grows there. Okay. That magnificent life of your dreams is just on the other side of comfort, but you need that burning desire to do it. So listen, if you can't make it to my boot camp, I do my goal setting workshop every year on New Year's Day. And I did it again. If you go to rodslinks.com, at the bottom is my goal setting workshop. I do it with music. There's a guide you can download. I don't try to sell you anything. Grab your spouse, do it. Have her do, he or her do it. Have your kids, if they're over 10 years old, do it. You know, Beau, people spend more freaking time planning a Christmas party or a birthday party than they do designing their lives. And I'm going to tell you, as a leader, which you are, if you're watching or listening to this, it is critical that you know what it is you want, why you want it. You determine those things, and so that you're focused on that when the you know what hits the fan, and it's coming. Okay. So, you know, that's what's going to push you through the fear to take action and capitalize on what's coming. So again, if you go to rodslinks.com, that's my Linktree, but there's also a ton of free resources there. My books are there. My bootcamp website's there. My podcast is there. Social media links. If you DM me a question on any social media, you will always get an answer from me. Very responsive. So definitely, you know, do it with your spouse, you know, do it separately. I mean, you can sit together, but don't copy each other, and then compare notes, see how aligned you are. Make sure you're headed the same direction. Do you think that's important? Better freaking believe it. So I'd encourage you to do that. But I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole, but was there a question and all that I missed?
No, that was good. That was good.
Okay.
Now, I'm curious, on your podcast, who's been one of your favorite guests of all time that you just loved interviewing?
Well, I've had a lot. Okay. You know, a question I get is, what books do I recommend? And so when I answer that question, I had the author of The 5 Love Languages on which is a fantastic book. And you should absolutely read. If you love anybody, you need to know how they feel love. And so The 5 Love Languages, I had the author. That was a real treat for me because I've given away thousands of copies of his book as well. But my love language is gifts. Okay. So my students get lots of books from me, lots of gifts. And let me name some, like Hal Elrod was on my show, The Miracle Morning, beautiful human being. Of course, Grant's been on my show numerous times. Grant Cardone, funny guy. I pissed him off the last time he came on though, but we had a conversation about, we had a vet throw in a question. Hey, should I use my VA to buy a fourplex? And Grant's like, no, buy a 16 unit because he 10X's everything. I'm like, dude, it's no money down financing for him to get a fourplex to get started. I mean, hello, let him freaking get started. Not everybody's got your cojones, you know, but it pissed him off. I could see it on his face. But anyway, Grant's funny as hell. He's got a yacht. I mean, he's got a jet and a helicopter. So he's a hell of a lot smarter than I am. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. Let's see, Hal Elrod. I had, you know, the another book is The One Thing, Gary Keller's One Thing. And I had his co-author, Jay Papasan, on the show. You know, I've had the author of Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss, the negotiation book, on the show. So I've had some really fun interviews. a lot of the rich dad authors, Tom Wheelwright and Ken McElroy, and a lot of these big hitters and in the rich dad space around Robert Kiyosaki. I haven't had Robert on the show yet, but I have a lot of fun with it, man. I'm sure you do too. I mean, you get to meet cool people. I get a ton of love. You can see on the wall behind me, there's some of the hundreds of thank you cards. My green screen covers up most of them, but I mean, from people whose lives have been impacted by my podcast, my work, my coaching, and, it's the greatest gift in the freaking world, man. So, I'm sure you get a lot of great feedback as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to it's starting to get, I'm not where you are with your podcast, but I'm definitely getting momentum. I got people reaching out, and I answer people's questions and in the financing space. So it's good. Now, what are your goals for you? I mean,
my goals. Well, I want to capitalize. It's really funny. We just implemented EOS in my acquisition business. It's from this book, Traction. Okay. A great book. If you've got a company that has at least 3 people, you need to read this freaking book and you need to implement this. Now, I've already done this with my thought leadership business, my coaching business. And it's incredible. It's been a game changer for us. We just literally had our meeting yesterday about the acquisition business. So I know what my goals are for the acquisition business, $1 billion under assets under management within 5 years, and we will reach it. So, that's a business goal. My goal is always to impact more people. And so, if you like this episode, please share it. And that's how, or come listen to my podcast too. I know you'll like it. That's not ego. I'm so proud of it that I know people rave about it. The only complaint I get is, I interrupt people because I get excited, and that pisses the really analytical people off. So forgive me if that's you. I will occasionally interrupt a guest, and I feel bad every freaking time I do it, but I can't help it because I get excited. But, when you love what you do, and then here's another thing, when you're picking your vehicle for what's coming, okay, if you don't love multifamily investing, for example, yet, or even single family, if you don't love it yet, associate pleasure with it. I tell my students, equate it to hunting for buried treasure, okay? Because that's really what it is. But if you can't learn to love it, because you really can learn to love anything if you apply yourself. But if you can't, for God's sakes, go do something else. Life is too freaking short, So besides, knowing your goals, and that's super important. You've actually got to make a decision, okay? And that it can be the most important decision of your life, okay? And when I say decision, I don't mean dip a toe in the water. I don't mean 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean it is freaking done. If you're going to attack the island, you burn your ships because you're taking their ships home. That's a freaking decision. Done. And once you make that decision, you've got to take that first step, and that can be the scariest thing as well. And you don't have to see the whole path. Those of you that are analytical, you know what I'm talking about here. You feel like you have to check off every box. No, here's the analogy you need to remember. You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your car only seeing 60 feet in front of you. And you'll make it. Other people have made it. You may have some obstacles, but you'll make it. It's the same way with your goals. It's the same way with this multifamily business that I teach. But you got to take that first step. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. And, Lao Tzu said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take that step. And then once you take that step, again, you want to make sure you're playing to your strengths. Your strengths are your greatest assets, okay? And so it is critical that you focus on your strengths and play to your strengths. Why? Because of what I just said. You're going to love it, okay? And when you love it, you never work another day in your life. Work is play. And here's the reason it's even more important, especially in the multifamily business. The multifamily business is a team sport. And if you are playing to your strengths, you're going to love it and you're going to be passionate about it. And if you are passionate about it because you love it, you're going to be able to influence people, and you're going to need to influence people to do this business. So it just kind of builds on itself, okay? And so, that's super important. And then you just can't give up. You've got to have that grit, that resolve, that stubbornness, that determined nature to not give up, because you're going to have setbacks. Everybody does. You're going to get your nose bloody. My God, you lose more than 50 million, then you call me and make me feel better. But, I bounce back from that. You sure as hell can bounce back from a mistake or a setback as well. And, there is no failure. I call them seminars. And that was a $50 million seminar, and I did a count recently. Hang on one second. I'm looking for something.
Sure.
Back here. Just give me 1 second. what I did with it. I really wanted to share something because I had a note here about something. That's all right. Well, anyway, where was I going? Where was I going with that? I was on, it's never pretty when you lose your mind. Well, anyway, you've got to love what you do. You've got to have passion about it. And then you just don't give up and you have that positive expectation, but it's critical to create that hunger first, make that decision, take that first step and play to your strengths. The beautiful thing about the multifamily business is there are lots of hats you can wear. It's a team business, but if you're analytical, you can do the underwriting. If you're process driven, management experience, project management experience, construction experience, you can do the asset management. If you're a great, mouthpiece like me, you can build the relationships, so there's so many different hats you can wear, but it's critical. Back to the burning desire for a minute, a lot of people have fears or limiting beliefs. When I immigrated to this country, I was 6 years old. I didn't speak English. I got thrown into school and I found out what bullies were for the first time. So I got my butt kicked on a consistent basis. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes for show and tell and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. So I got my ass kicked again. And then, the bullies would chase me home because they knew where I lived and she'd chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day ass kicking. And so, I came up with this belief that I wasn't good enough. In fact, I used to ask myself the question, how can I show them I'm good enough? Which of course presupposed I wasn't. And so, if you have a limiting belief like that, first of all, recognize that the reason the acronym for belief systems is BS is because 99.9% of them are, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have enough time, I'm not analytical enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not, communicative enough, whatever it is, it's just all BS. And so, if you have one of those, bring it out into the daylight, look at it with your adult rational mind, recognize that it's BS and it'll diminish over time. I used to be terrified to raise my hand in class and now I speak in front of thousands of people a year in flip-flops and these black t-shirts that I wear. My wife hates, but it's because I just don't care. If you don't like me, it's okay. I can live with that now. And to be free from the opinion of others, to work towards that is incredibly powerful. And I would encourage you to work towards that. And then I got a couple other quick strategies if we have time.
Sure. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So in what's coming, your peer group is going to be super important as well. Who you hang out with, like when I was losing it all in 2008 and 9, most of the people I hung out with were getting their asses handed to them as well. And so, luckily I was in a mastermind. You saw those lanyards that were around my arms and my neck. Well, one of them, I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. Okay. And I was around people that were thriving through the crash. Okay. They were killing it. And they're like 50 million, get up, you puss, go make it happen. That's who you need to be around when the going gets tough is my point. Now, see, here's the sad thing. Most people default to a peer group of people they went to school with or people they work with. And those people, out of their fear or their own limiting beliefs or fear of losing you or fear of being embarrassed if you succeed, can hold you back. And sometimes it's family. So I'll tell you, love your family, but choose your peers proactively, because you show me your two best friends, I'll show you who you are, every part of you, your personal life, your happiness, your health, and your finances. So choose proactively. It's the most important decision you can make. I talked about my students, my warriors, my coaching students. They own, upwards of, I think it could be 90,000 doors. I'm not exaggerating at all. And because we can't keep track of them after a while, but most of those doors were done between warriors because it's a team sport. They do it together. And so you want to be around people that think what you think is hard is easy. Okay. So get around people that are doing it. And that's why I started my mastermind. Actually, it started with 16 people here at my compound in Florida, about $1 billion in assets at that time. And now it's grown to, like almost 16 billion in assets. And I was so amazing when I was here. I paid for it. I just said, hey, come here, let's share notes and compare notes. I just knew the power of it. And, and it was so amazing that I formalized it and formed the Multifamily Boardroom. But the point is, you want to be around people that think what you think is hard is easy, because a rising tide lifts all ships. If you're going to play tennis with somebody that's better than you or worse than you, you know which direction you're going based on whoever you play against, right? It's the same way in business.
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, this is Beau, host of the Investor Financing Podcast. I appreciate you checking out our channel. On this podcast, we talk about real estate, investing, financing, business lending, and acquiring and expanding your business. I'm sure you will find some videos here that will help you build your business empire. There's a lot to see. Take your time and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks again. So in 2008, I think there was a picture of the house you lost.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
There was that amazing.
Let's talk about that for a minute. But before I do, let me talk about one other thing, and that's failure. Okay. Remember, I call them seminars.
Yeah.
Now, I've built 27 businesses in my life. I was blown away when I figured this out a couple of years ago. I'm like, Jesus, 27. Several were tens of millions of dollars. Most spectacular flaming seminars. Okay. We fail our way to success. So for God's sakes, don't fear failure. Fear being in the same place you are right now a year from now, unless you freaking love where you are right now. That's what you fear. Fear regret. There was this nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse named Bronnie Ware, that took care of patients when they were about to die. And she asked him a question, Beau, and I think you've probably heard this before because you've been in my boot camp. But the question was, do you have any regrets? She wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that. But back to failure for a second. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, Sarah Blakely, the woman's undergarments that holds it all together. She started with 5,000 and she was in Forbes. She's worth over $1 billion now. Beautiful human being anyway. But she told me at another mastermind that I belonged to, one of those lanyards you saw probably, that her dad used to ask her and her brother, what have you failed at this week? And I thought, what an awesome freaking question to ask your kids so they don't fear failure. Listen, as an entrepreneur, you only fail if you give up. Okay. You're like a shark. If you stop swimming, you die. That's it. Like I said, I've had 27 businesses. Most of them failed. But here I am, and so, but back to that house. So this ties into goals. I told you how important goals are. Well, when I lived in Denver, I knew I wanted to live on a beach. And of course, there's no beach in Denver. And so I visualized the palm trees and the surf and the sand and of course, bikinis. I'm a guy and I wanted to live on the freaking beach. For 20 years, I visualized this. And 20 years later, I built this $8 million, 10,000 square foot mansion on the beach, which was unthinkable when I was 18. So when you do your goals, if you have me help you or you do them on your own, make sure you take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it, which is not outside the realm of reality. There's nothing you can't do, be, or have. You just got to decide. So 20 years later, I built that mansion. 2 months after I moved in, I'm going to describe this place to you. Okay. I owned the beach on one side. I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay. So it was a slice through an island, a narrow island. House was magnificent, giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. Pools in magazines. You had to walk through the waterfall to get to the pool. Big spiral staircase up through the middle of the house with these incredible hand carved wrought iron railings. On the second floor, well, I had an elevator, a wine cellar. On the second floor, I had aquariums that custom made that wrapped around the staircase that cost me almost $200,000. So this gives you an idea of the house. 2 months after I moved in, so 20 years I worked for it. 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool at night. I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was, just to prove the world I was good enough. We talked about that. And pool's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. And I got depressed. And this is 2 months after I moved in. I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I was really depressed. I'm like, what the hell? I've just achieved success. I had the Maserati in the garage, the Mercedes, the boats, the jet skis, the toys, beautiful family in the house, incredible house. What could possibly cause me to feel bad? Well, there were several things. And the first one relates to goals. They say the happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat. It's never about the goals. You need them to create that burning desire. But happiness comes from progress and growth. Okay. And you need a vision for the future. And like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. I didn't have a vision for the future. So I didn't know what the hell I was going to do next. And again, happiness doesn't come from the goals. You need them, but it's who you become in your growth and progress that makes you happy. But the big thing was I've been totally focused on me. Rod, show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter, and that's the year I went out and bought some books. I got motivation, self-help books. I got, Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar at the time, Tony Robbins. And I started reading Tony's book and I get about halfway through and I'm like, man, I really like this stuff. And by the way, if you ever have a chance to see him live, just do it. Trust me, before he stops, you'll thank me. But I went and saw him live in Fort Lauderdale. This is 22 years ago, and was just blown away by the technologies, but found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, what a concept, do something for someone else. And I'm embarrassed I had to be 40 to get that memo. I'm 62 now. And so I went home and I called my brother in Denver. And I said, hey, bud, let's feed 5 families. And so he called his church and he found 5 families that really needed help. And we bought food and toys and frozen turkeys and stuff, because I was going to visit him for Thanksgiving dinner in Denver. I was living in Florida already. And the third family changed my life. We go up to this house and there's a woman there with 5 kids in a crappy 1-bedroom. It wasn't even a 1-bedroom. And she sees the food and the toys and she starts crying. Her kids come out, 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying and I'm hooked. And I'm blessed to say in the last 22 years, we've fed 130,000 children here in Sarasota and Bradenton. And I don't say this to brag. There's a message in this. So don't sign off. Okay. This is super important if you want success. Even if you're like young and you got blood dripping from your teeth, you want it so bad, you listen up here because this is important. So, and I've also done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We just did 1,800 backpacks 3 weeks ago. Thousands, tens of thousands of teddy bears to give to police departments for officers to put in their vehicles if they encounter a child that's been traumatized. So here's the thing. We've been taught to achieve to be happy. Like we shouldn't be happy until we've achieved. If you give back in any fashion, you are happily achieving. Now, I know that's a play on words, but it's important. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement is a science. You want to learn multifamily? I will give you the map and the blueprint. Come to my freaking boot camp, and you just have to go do it. Okay, it's a science. But fulfillment is an art. You got to figure out what juices you. For me, it's kids. Maybe for you, it's the environment, the animals, elderly, whatever it is, incorporate it into your life right now. Don't say, I'll do it when I have money. No, do it right now because the money will come faster. It's the way God or the universe works. Whatever you give, you get back 100-fold. But do it right now because you'll be happily achieving. You'll get the success faster. You'll be fulfilled. Trust me on this. Okay. I had to be 40 to figure this out. But yeah. So there you go.
That's good. No, it's very important. I think a lot of people are too into themselves, and we gotta think about other people and put our.
Well, I interview gazillionaires on my show, and I can tell if they're like I was before I had that epiphany, and I feel sad for them because it's not about the money, man. It's about happiness and fulfillment, and I can tell because I can recognize it because it was me, and I feel sad for them. And some people don't evolve. So you have no excuse now if you heard this, okay? And you're making a big mistake if you don't figure out how to give back. You don't have to give of your time if you don't have money yet, but don't wait. Do it right now.
Yeah, no, I love it. I try to give back in different ways, and
Sure.
even just talking to people, even sharing.
Well, the podcast is a way to give back for sure. But those of you listening, do something. Do it right now if you're not already doing it. Trust me, you'll thank me.
All right, guys, Rod's got to go because he's probably going on vacation in a few days. He said he was going somewhere. So I always see on Facebook traveling. And
thanks, bud. Yeah,
that's the other good thing is that when you are making good, wise decisions and investments, you can have the life you want, meaning you can go travel and enjoy life and go to exotic places. So
yeah, we're going to Stockholm, Oslo, Norway, see the fjords, going to Copenhagen, and then to Ireland. Me and my beautiful wife, supermodel, beautiful wife, and more beautiful on the inside than the outside. But listen, guys, again, if you want to check out my boot camp, it's $97. If its price has gone up, let me know. But you definitely, if you're interested in this business, for God's sakes, come. Remember, just text my name, Rod, to 72345. And I don't sell anything there. It's kind of a duh. And if you want to do that goal setting thing, go to rodslinks.com. At the very least, do that. Okay. Trust me. I don't care if you just did them 6 months ago, do them again because your goals evolve. Very important that you associate with them because that triggers your reticular activating system and it points your brain in the direction of the things that'll help you achieve those goals. Super important.
thank you so much, Rod. I'm going to put all the links below. I'm going to have this edited within a few days, so we'll have this go live. So it'll give you guys plenty of time for $97. If you don't go to this boot camp and educate yourself and get around people, I mean, just the fact of being online with other people and seeing other people and Rod's energy, right? It's all energy. Like I like to interview people that have energy because like after I get off with you, I'm like energized, right? I go crush it because I just got an
Thanks,
hour
man.
of Rod, right? And that's the people I want in my life that are going to energize the shit out of me, because I've realized that's what gets me going. Is people that are like driven, right? They want better in many different ways. And Rod's a testament to this.
Thanks,
so thank
brother.
you so
Thanks.
much.
And that's
it
why
was
I go on
fun.
YouTube. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, hope you enjoy this. Links below, and we'll see you on the next episode.